What's up, everybody? Jensen Cummings here. Thank you for tuning in. Exciting. You can see the new setup. We're bona fide with a microphone here. We got the background, and I'm very excited, honored to have Matthew Amack on the show today. Really good to see you, my friend. How you doing?
Very good. Thanks. Excited to be on your show.
Yes, I'm so happy to have you on. Look, I want to give people a little bit of background on you and have you kind of tell your story a little bit. I want to tell people why it's so important for me that you're on the show today because you and I have interacted for years and years and years now. You have always been there to help out on events, on nonprofit stuff, everything we've done with Brewed Food because you just really care about the industry and want to submerge yourself in it. So I want people to know that that's a very important part of who you are and who you and I have been together. And I wanted to invite you on this week because I wanted to share a little bit of your story, because when you and I were bantering and interacting a little bit and I was like, I want you on the show, your first instinct was I don't know, I haven't done things like that. I don't get invited to these things. I'm not the big name chef. And I was like, fuck that. You, Matt Amack, and everybody that doesn't think that they're supposed to be a part of something like this is absolutely who I want to have on this show. I think it's so important because I think you are exactly what we need. Somebody who is so selfless in the way that they just want to be a part of the community. It really matters. And I want people to know that. So we're going to get into that a little bit more, but I want to set the tone for people. I want to set the table. Take us back a little bit. How long have you been in the industry? Kind of where did it start for you?
For me, literally when I was 14 and a half, 15 years old, I started working in the kitchen, kind of different than I think a lot of people. I feel like a lot of people grew up in really foodie families. I didn't. And I grew up in a very Hispanic part of Denver, and I grew up working in restaurants. And it was just to me, going to and being around people who were total foodies, I was hooked right away. Having family meal and just learning about food. And I felt like I was a little late because I was 15 or 16, where I feel like culturally, a lot of cultures are more immersed in it, where I felt like my family really wasn't. But it just made me want to be around restaurants, and it just felt like home since I was 15 years old.
All right, so you were in it. You were enamored. You loved it. You were all about it. And getting to Vegas was a big deal for you. That was kind of a seminal moment for you in your life. I want to get to kind of where the spirit comes from that has you constantly reaching out and saying, I want to get involved. How can I volunteer? I think about maybe just a couple of weeks ago, you texted me and said, hey, tomorrow, Saturday, I got nothing to do. Is there anywhere that I can volunteer? And that to me is such an interesting thing, because in this moment where we're all struggling, it's just crazy right now. And for you to say, you know what, I want to get out there and I want to go volunteer, it means a lot. Why is that so important to you?
I feel like there's just a need right now. And I feel like before the coronavirus, we have a million excuses why we can't go and do volunteer work, because it's just so busy. And right now, I feel like it's just a big opportunity for us to have that downtime to give back we all want to be doing the rest of the time, but we just don't have the time to do. And so now that we have the time, I feel like we should be doing it as much as we can. And I've always believed that doing service is just as rewarding. You being serving someone else is just rewarding for yourself, for you, as it is for that person. How much what you get in return. I just was raised that way. It's how I've always felt.
You let me know right away. You said, look, we're getting let go from the Four Seasons, getting the kind of the furlough. And you went right away and said, I'm going to Costco. And tell me that story, because you texted me about that story and it was completely crazy to me. But I want to know why it was important for you to not sit back, wait, see what happens. You went right into action, went and got yourself a job so you could take care of your family, and then talk about that situation for you.
I just have always felt I'm not trying to throw stones at other people, but I just have always felt as long as you're able to work, to me, I feel like it's rewarding to work, and there's always stuff to be done. There's always somewhere you can work. And I basically that weekend I was watching on the news and seeing Illinois and Michigan and all these states starting to close, and I was like, Denver's going to close tomorrow if California closes. And basically 9 o'clock in the morning on that Monday, California closed. So at 9:30, I went to Costco and put an application in and started working. So that way I could have 40 hours a week and have a reason to get up in the morning. I feel like working is makes you feel better as a person doing something, you know? And I feel like it's important.
So, so talk about though the situation. Yes, I agree with all of that. I think it's an important thing, and clearly it's just ingrained in you. Talk about though the hilarity that was. You're like, I'm going to go to Costco, and that situation for you being such a restaurant guy, such a hotel food and beverage guy, to say, oh, I'm going to go to Costco. Like, what was that like? But then talk about like you got a job there in like an hour and a half or something crazy. Like, give us a little bit of that situation.
It felt really weird. Like I felt like a fish out of water at a grocery store because it's such a different lifestyle. Totally different. Not knocking that. It's just not what I'm used to. Like I'm used to dealing in with the one percenters, if you will, in high-end hotels. And being working in a grocery store in my neighborhood, essentially, where I see my neighbors every day coming in and shopping, was just totally a different experience completely. And it was kind of funny, if you will. And then also the best part was, I guess they have a policy at the store. They never just usually hire somebody right on like that. Usually it takes 3 or 4 days to get in the system. So it was like the first 2 or 3 days, it was almost like I was a celebrity around the store with all the other employees. He's that guy who got hired in an hour and a half and was working because they just have never done that before. It was kind of funny. And it was like I was kind of known for that around the store.
Are you still working at Costco right now?
I am for the rest of the week, and then basically I'm going to go start helping Alex over at GB Fish and Chip Shop because I know the hotel industry is going to be slow recovery, and he sounds like he's doing like this. People are doing takeaway, and so I'm going to go help him out until the hotel industry kind of comes back full swing again, and we're busy. Luckily, I work for a great company that's still been paying our insurance at the hotel this whole time, and I can wing back in slowly as we start to get our guests. So very fortunate for that.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. You've been working for the Four Seasons for how long?
Since 2002.
2002. Let me quick do the math. 18 years. That is like multiple lifetimes in the restaurant industry. You got to give me some of the culture and why you would stay with a company for that long, because when the average restaurant tenure is so short, for you to stay there that long, why has it been important? What have they done to kind of keep you around that long, keep you motivated, keep you happy, all of that?
Yeah, it's just, like I say, it's just such a great company, and I feel like that's one of the biggest differences from the restaurant industry and the hotel industry. The hotel industry is constantly changing, even if it's the same restaurant with the same. They're constantly doing new things all the time to make you as an employee not get bored and feel fresh. Where I feel like that's much harder in the restaurant industry. Where in the restaurant industry, 18 months, 2 years, you're kind of bored and going to the next restaurant. Where in the hotel industry, it's constantly new guests and new themes and parties that are very unique, and like it's just much easier to like make that a long-term job, I feel. And then also like the benefits of being able to go and stay at their properties and go and work task force. Like I got to go work in Hawaii for 3 weeks a couple of years ago because they had a big event. That was incredible. Or like going to work to Jackson Hole, or if they don't need help, it's just a different lifestyle.
You mentioned Alex, GB's Fish and Chips, kind of taking that pivot a little bit. So you're going into a very different realm. Talk about how you're thinking about that, going into, my favorite fish and chip joint in the Denver area, multi-unit, fast casual, very different than everything you've done before. So where's your head at when you're thinking about that opportunity?
It's kind of the same thing as like when I stepped in the grocery store. I feel like right now during this whole coronavirus, everything is totally different. And I hate to use that pivot term, but it's all about finding what industries are still going to be busy for the rest of this year that we in this industry relate with. So that way the tools and the knowledge that we know as hospitality employees, our skills can be used. And if it means going fast casual or even doing food trucks or whatever. I feel like as hospitality, that's what we need to do, is find ways to get our skills involved.
Could not agree more. When you're speaking of skills, kind of you've been a lot of different things in the industry, right? You've been on the line, you've been butchering, you've doing grocery store, you're going from hotels to fast casual, kind of you run a lot of the gamut. Where do you see yourself? Like, what are the things that you really enjoy doing? What are the things that you want to see more possibilities and opportunities in restaurants so that you get the opportunity to do more of the fun stuff that you like to do? Where's your head at when you think about like your skill set, your mission within the industry?
My favorite thing, honestly, is pretty much anything to do with catering. I love unique events. And from being in the back of the house, helping execute the food, or even serving the food and like doing unique events. I just feel like that's where my passion is. And right now, that's what hurts so much with this coronavirus, because really that's what's going to, I feel like, it'd be the slowest comeback is all the catering and all the like, I don't know, people having a tropical Hawaiian themed event, and then the next week someone wants to have a Latin event or whatever. Just being able to do fun banquets, and I feel like that unfortunately is going to be the slowest return for our industry. But I feel like for me personally, that's like the most fun.
Yeah, I agree. I think any kind of live, large scale events are going to definitely be slow and a little bit tough. So I can appreciate that for sure.
For me, I feel like the reason why I like those kind of events so much is it's almost like I feel like you're kind of like a painter making a sculpture, if you will. Like you're taking those guests to a new place. You know what I'm saying? Where at a restaurant you're doing that with just the plate during the meal, but in an event you literally can do it with everything from the floral arrangements to the way the tables are set to everything. And I feel like it's like the next step of taking your guests to another level. And that's why it hurts so much that that's not here right now. Because at the end of the event, when you're cleaning up and you saw that how wow they were by the bar mitzvah or whatever the event is, and you're setting up the event thinking, this is just a normal thing. But at the end, you see their reaction. It's like so amazing, you know what I'm saying? And then the fact that we haven't been able to do that for months as a hospitality guy, it hurts. And I'm bummed knowing that who knows if we're going to be able to do it all the way through till Christmas, you know? Who knows when it's going to come back? I know it will come back. It's just when is catering going to come back to where we were?
Yeah.
I remember you and I doing events with heroes like us out there in Aurora at the airstrip. And we would do some pretty amazing, fun stuff, you know? And that's exactly what I feel like is missing right now.
Yeah, we're fueled by face-to-face interaction in this industry, right? And, this right now is face-to-face in a lot of ways, which is totally bizarre for us. So it's another layer of difficulty for kind of just the nature of people in hospitality. And so I want to speak to people in hospitality right now. I want to get back to one of the points at the very beginning that you kind of, my friend Eric Chiapetta from Chef or Death calls it imposter syndrome, where it's like people have this sense that they're not supposed to be, that they haven't been given permission or whatever, earned the right, whatever is holding you back from that. And I want to get into that because I think so many people deserve to have an opportunity to have a conversation and be able to share the passion that they have, because it matters. Like, it really matters. And so I want to get into that a little bit. When we're thinking about all the thousands and thousands of people in Denver, hundreds of thousands, millions of people across the country that they really make up the fabric of our industry, yet don't think that they're a tastemaker, don't think that they are the one who's supposed to be able to use their voice. Let's talk about that for a minute. Why for you do you feel like that you do everything that you should do in our industry, yet still you had a hesitation to say, well, I don't really know if I have much to say? Why did you feel like that?
I didn't want to come across as like a poser. Like when we were a kid and you had the guy at the skateboard holding the skateboard but never actually goes into the ramp. I didn't want people to say, oh, why is this guy up there when he's not Ming Tsai or something? You know what I'm saying? But when I was talking to you, you're right. Like, there's so many of us that are in the trenches cleaning the fryers and getting the grills ready so the chefs can plan their meals. And you need us to be doing that work so that way they have that time in the office to do the stuff they need to get done. And that, you really hit the nail, I thought, on the head when you said that. It was eye-opening for me.
Good. I'm glad, man. I think it's the most important thing that this show can do is like we talk about unsung hospitality heroes, you know, and I say that, and it's easy to have that thing feel like it's just like a branding thing or a marketing thing, like, ooh, they're trying to speak to the people. But like it's really important for me to hold space for that. So for you to be on this show, even though you had a moment of trepidation, you were unsure about it, I was so emphatic. I was like, you're exactly who needs to be on this show. And I'm going to push really hard to have Ming Tsai on the show, or Edward Lee is going to be on the show the same week as you. Yet I also want to make sure that you're on the show. And, you know, we have a Facebook group, Best Served Together. And I've been posting in there, just it's about humans, you know, pictures of you and pictures of all the people that have shared their stories. And I shared this last week, a screenshot of a chef who's under an NDA, so can't use his name, all of that, but out in Vegas doing big things, and said, I loved watching Ming Tsai because he hosted him at South Beach Food and Wine. Yet he said, my heart goes to Jill Elizabeth and hearing her story. Jill Elizabeth is a server, bartender, DJ in Dallas. Nobody knows who she is unless you've actually physically worked with her and interacted with her. Yet that chef said her story resonated. That like means everything to me. And so it's not just something that we say, it's something that I truly want to create a space for. So I really appreciate that you got to have an opportunity, because I know how passionate you are. I know that if it's like, hey, what would Matthew do, is like literally something that I would imagine. Like, you're going to go out there and hustle. You're going to care about your community. You're going to care about the guest experience. You're going to care about the food. Like, I want people to recognize that. So listen, people, everyone listening and watching, when I say introduce me to people, when I say who's a dishwasher that you respect, when I say who's a line cook that's been hustling for 20 years and nobody knows who they are, I'm not just saying that. I really, really, truly believe that they have a place, that they matter, and that Matthew Amack has been behind the scenes propping up chefs for 2 decades, and it matters. So Matthew, I really appreciate you being on the show. I really appreciate us having the opportunity to talk like we've talked many times on this platform. I appreciate you going through. Technology has really not been our friend today. Lots of cutting in and cutting out. I appreciate everybody for bearing with us and watching this, because it really does matter. And even getting on took us quite a bit. But I'm grateful for the friendship that we have. I'm grateful for the message that I believe that you are putting out there. And I'm so happy that we even got 20 minutes to just wrap a little bit and share this. So any parting thoughts, any last words you want to impart with us before we kind of get into the rest of our day?
I just want to thank you, because I feel like we need more people like you in the industry that like I'll take people like me out of our comfort zone. And because the more we get out of our own comfort zone, the more we grow. And I feel like you personally have done that so many times in my life, and I really appreciate that.
I'm grateful. I'm really, really grateful. I'm so glad we got a moment to share. I hope we have many, many more moments. And I'm serious. Everybody share. I know you all have Matthew Amack. You're just like, that guy, that gal, they're just the best, you know, and they fly under the radar because maybe they're not pushing to have accolades or whatever else it is. It does not mean they're less than anybody else because they have a big name brand, because they have multiple restaurants. None of that matters. It's truly the human experience. And the more that we recognize it in this time, are you kidding me? Imagine if we spent more time acknowledging and recognizing each other. No group, no matter your creed, your color, your race, your anything, any label assigned to you. Imagine if more people spend more time acknowledging and recognizing each other, we wouldn't feel like that. So I really believe that. So I appreciate it. All right, brother. Be good. Thank you so much for taking the time. Cheers.